Hello guys, thanks for joining this session. In this session, what we are going to do, we are going to learn about virtualization techniques like Vagrant and LXC container. So why we are going to learn about this? Because our virtual lab is going to be based on virtualization technique. As we are moving further in the code, so we need a lab environment where we do the practicals about the concept which we learn in theory session. So first we will learn about these technologies. We will look into what it is and why it is, and then afterwards what we will do, we will learn about how to do it. So let's look into some of the theories first. Okay, so here we are going to discuss about two technology of virtualization. So why we are going to discuss about this, which I will explain you in details. First understand that what actually these technologies is. So let's understand Vagrant. So what is Vagrant? So Vagrant is a open source software product for building and maintaining portable virtual software development environment. What does it mean? So basically it is a product from HashiCorp which provides the flexibility to automate the process of creating a virtual environment using virtual boxes or KVM, Hyper-V, Docker containers, VMware and AWS, any one of these. So in this lab, we are going to use VirtualBox to set up a workflow, and when we run it, it will create a VirtualBox environment for our lab. As I already mentioned that why we are going to use Vagrant, because it provides us flexibility to design the workflow for creating virtual environment. So let's look into how this Vagrant file looks like. So in this Vagrant file, what we are mentioning that we want to define a virtual machine with the name Kava VM. Kava stands for Kubernetes automation with Ansible. So here we are mentioning that we are going to use the base image of Ubuntu Bionic 64 and the size of the VM is 20 GB. We are going to keep the host name is this. We are also mentioning that the private network for this machine is on this address, and it will also provide us the memory allocation. So here we are telling that we are going to use memory of 8 GB and we are going to use two CPUs for this virtual machines. So this is what this Vagrant file contains. On it, what we have to do, we need to go into the folder command prompt and write Vagrant up. So this virtual machine get a spin up, and then we will proceed further with LXC and LXT container design. Okay guys, so now we have understand Vagrant. Now move into LXD and LXC container. We will look into some of the theoretical aspects of LXD and LXC container, and then we will move further to do the lab. So let's understand what is LXD and LXC containers is. So LXD containers is a Linux container. It is an operating system based virtualization method which offers an environment as close as possible as the one you would get from virtual machines, but without the overhead that comes with running a separate kernel and simulating all hardware. So what does it mean? It means that LXC is the part of mainline kernel. It doesn't require hardware emulation, which makes it very light and very easy to use. In this technology, the Linux kernel provides the functionality that actually allows limitation and prioritization of resources, which means CPU, memory, block input output, networks, all namespace isolation functionality that allow complete isolation of an application. So how does it provide the isolation? So to understand that, we must have to understand that there is something called CG group. Actually, CG group is a Linux kernel feature that actually limits the accounts and isolate the resource uses of a collections of processes. as it doesn't require hardware emulation, so it makes very lightweight and very easy to use. Now we have little bit understanding about LXC. So we have to understand that what actually this LXD is. So to understand that, if we have a container, so we need a mechanism to interact with those containers. So LXD is one of the thing which provide that flexibility. It provides some CLI which will help us to access the container and to do some manipulation with the container, like container creation and all those things we have to do with the help of LXD. So if you go by definition, so what actually LXD is? LXD is the new LXC experience. It offers a complete, fresh and intuitive user experience with a single command line tool to manage containers. Now we have little bit understanding about this LXC and LXD container. We will move it forward and look into that why actually we use it, why not any other virtualization technique. So let's look into that. So basically what it provides is nesting of virtual machines. So what does it mean? So it means that you can easily create virtual machines within virtual machines, which was earlier not possible, or sometime it is very difficult. Theoretically it was possible, but it is really very tough to design such kind of a infrastructure, as those hypervisor techniques required to do hardware emulations. So virtual machine on top of virtual machine is not supported and will not work. But with the help of this LXC container design, we can easily create the virtual machines containers within our virtual machines. In our lab, I will show you, I will create a virtual box, and within that I will spin off 2 to 3 virtual machines within that using LXC container. So it is really going to be a very fun exercise. I am definitely sure that you will really enjoy that lab session. Okay guys, see you in the lab.